Speak one word to him, and you're dead. The guard's warning cuts through the marble hall, but Estelle barely hears it. She's too focused on the massive creature blocking her path. 7 feet of pure muscle, wrapped in midnight fur, eyes like molten gold fixed on her trembling form. The Vampire King's legendary guardian, the beast that tore apart an entire rebellion last year, stands between her and the only exit from this nightmare. Behind her, Lady Cordelia's laughter echoes off the vaulted ceiling. Look at her shake. Did you really think you could sneak into the Nightborn Palace wearing my stolen dress? That you could blend in with your betters? Estelle's bare feet, they'd taken her shoes when they caught her, are freezing against the polished floor. The crimson gown she'd found in a donation bin outside the cathedral is beautiful. Yes, but now she sees the small crest embroidered near the hem. Cordelia Ashworth. Of course it belonged to someone important. Of course her one attempt to find work somewhere warm, somewhere safe, somewhere that might offer her a meal and a chance, would end like this. Please, she whispers, not to Lady Cordelia or the guards, but to the beast. Its lips curl back, revealing fangs the size of daggers. I know what it's like. The creature's ears twitch. I said no speaking. The guard raises his silver baton, crackling with violet energy. But Estelle can't stop now. She's going to die anyway, either from the baton, the beast, or the winter cold when they throw her back onto the streets. At least this way, she chooses her last words. Alone, she breathes, meeting those molten eyes. You're alone. The beast sits. The entire hall goes silent. Lady Cordelia's mouth opens and closes, like a fish gasping for air. The guard's baton lowers slowly, his face draining of what little color vampires possess. And the creature, the legendary Fenrir, the Vampire King's most prized and deadly possession, presses its enormous head against Estelle's outstretched palm. Impossible, someone whispers. Footsteps, measured and deliberate, echo from the shadows of the eastern corridor. Everyone in the hall immediately drops into bows so deep their foreheads nearly touch the floor. Everyone except Estelle, who doesn't understand what's happening until she sees him. Alexander Nightborn steps into the light, and Estelle's breath catches in her throat. She's seen drawings in newspapers, heard the whispered descriptions from other homeless girls who'd glimpsed him from afar, but nothing prepared her for the reality of him. Tall, easily 6.5 feet, with shoulders that fill out his black suit jacket perfectly. His hair is dark as a raven's wing, swept back from a face that looks carved from marble by an artist who understood beauty as a weapon. High cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass, and eyes. Gods, his eyes are silver. Actual silver, gleaming in the candlelight as they focus on her with an intensity that makes her knees weak. Your Majesty, Lady Cordelia's voice trembles now, all her earlier cruelty replaced with honeyed deference. This vagrant broke into the palace wearing my stolen gown. I was just about to have her removed and... Silence. His voice is deep, quiet, and absolute. Lady Cordelia's mouth snaps shut with an audible click. Alexander moves closer, each step purposeful, predatory. He doesn't look at his guards, or Lady Cordelia, or anyone else. His silver eyes remain locked on Estelle, studying her with an expression she can't read. Fenrir, the supposedly vicious, untamable beast, has now rolled partially onto his side, so Estelle can scratch his belly, his back leg thumping against the floor in contentment. What did you say to him? Alexander asks, stopping just 3 feet from her. Estelle's hand freezes on Fenrir's fur. Up close, the Vampire King is even more devastating. She can smell him. Something like winter pine and old books and darkness itself. I just said he was alone. And how? Alexander's head tilts slightly. Would you know that? Because I am too. The words escape before she can stop them. I didn't steal the dress, Your Majesty. I found it in a donation bin. I didn't know it belonged to anyone important. It's so cold outside, and I heard the palace was hiring kitchen staff, and I thought if I looked presentable, if I could just get inside to ask. Her voice cracks. I'm sorry. I'll leave. She tries to step away, but Fenrir's massive paw lands on her foot, pinning her gently in place. "He doesn't want you to go," Alexander observes, and is that amusement in his voice? Curious, he killed the last person who touched him without permission. Lady Cordelia makes a small sound of vindication. "You see, Your Majesty, she clearly used some form of—" "I said silence, Cordelia." This time there's an edge to Alexander's voice, a reminder that beneath the civilized suit and measured words lives something ancient and dangerous. "In fact, I believe I gave you explicit instructions to donate your excess wardrobe to the cathedral charity, not leave it in bins like garbage. Is that how you treat the less fortunate?" "No, Your Majesty, I would never—" "You just called her a vagrant, mocked her for being cold and hungry." His eyes finally shift from Estelle to Lady Cordelia, and the temperature in the hall seems to drop 10 degrees. "Perhaps you should experience a winter night without shelter. Guards escort Lady Cordelia to the streets. She may return when she remembers compassion." "Your Majesty!" Cordelia's shriek is piercing. "You can't! My father will—" "Your father will do nothing, or I'll remind him how his shipping business relies entirely on my trade agreements." Alexander waves his hand dismissively. "Go. Consider it a learning opportunity." The guards drag a wailing Cordelia away, and Estelle realizes she's trembling again, but for different reasons now. The Vampire King just humiliated a noble woman on her behalf, defended her. She doesn't understand. "What's your name?" Alexander asks, his attention returning to her with that same unsettling intensity. "Estelle. Estelle Thorne." "Estelle?" He says it slowly, like he's tasting each syllable. "You're homeless." It's not a question, but she nods anyway. "For 3 months now, since my grandmother died. She was renting our cottage, and when she passed, the landlord—" She doesn't finish. He doesn't need her sob story. "You came here looking for work." "Yes." "In a found dress with no shoes in the middle of winter." "Yes." "And when confronted with a creature that has slaughtered trained warriors, you told it that it was alone." Alexander moves closer now, so close she has to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. "Why?" "I saw it in his eyes." Estelle's hand moves unconsciously back to Fenrir's fur, seeking comfort. Everyone fears him, so everyone stays away. He's powerful and deadly, so he's always guarded, always on duty, always separate. I know how that feels, to be surrounded by people but utterly alone. Something flickers across Alexander's perfect face. Not quite emotion. She suspects vampire kings learn to school their expressions early, but something. Fenrir has been with me for 300 years. He's bonded to my bloodline, trained since birth to protect me, and only me. In all that time, no one has touched him without losing a hand at minimum. Yet here you are, a slip of a human girl, and he's showing you his belly like a common pet. I'm sorry. Don't be." Alexander reaches down and offers her his hand. His skin is pale, flawless, and when she hesitantly places her palm in his, it's surprisingly warm. She'd expected coldness from a vampire. "Come with me." "Where?" "Somewhere we can talk without an audience." Estelle glances at the various guards and servants still lining the hall, all desperately pretending not to listen. Fenrir has already stood, shaking himself off and moving to Alexander's other side, though the beast's golden eyes keep tracking back to her. She should refuse. She should thank him for his kindness to Lady Cordelia and leave before she causes more trouble. But his hand is warm and steady in hers, and she hasn't felt human touch, kind human touch, in so long. And beneath the fear and confusion, something else blooms in her chest. Curiosity, hope, the sense that this impossible moment might be the hinge on which her entire life turns. "Okay," she whispers. Alexander's lips curve into the barest smile, and even that small expression transforms his face from austere beauty to something that makes her heart stutter. "Good." He leads her through corridors that grow progressively more private, more luxurious. The marble gives way to dark wood paneling, the harsh lighting to softer amber sconces. Estelle tries not to gawk at the oil paintings. Originals. They must be originals. or the sculpture niches holding what she suspects are priceless artifacts. Her bare feet sink into carpet so plush, it feels like walking on clouds. Alexander opens a door to what appears to be a private study. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves line 3 walls, filled with volumes in dozens of languages. A fire crackles in an enormous hearth, throwing dancing shadows across leather furniture that looks butter-soft. Fenrir immediately sprawls in front of the fire, watching them with those unsettling, intelligent eyes. "Sit." Alexander gestures to a chair near the fire. "You're freezing." Only when he says it does Estelle realize she's shivering violently. The adrenaline is wearing off, leaving her aware of just how cold she is, how hungry, how exhausted. She sinks into the chair and nearly moans at how comfortable it is. The heat from the fire washes over her in waves. Alexander moves to a sidebar and pours amber liquid into a crystal glass. He brings it to her. "Drink, it'll warm you faster." I've never. "It's brandy. Expensive, but not so strong it'll knock you over. Trust me." The way he says "trust me," like it's both a command and a request, makes her take the glass. The first sip burns, but then warmth blooms in her chest, spreading through her limbs. The second sip is easier. By the third, she's stopped shivering. Alexander settles into the chair across from her, one ankle crossed over his knee in a pose that's somehow both casual and regal. He's removed his suit jacket, and his white shirt is rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle and traced with veins that she tries not to stare at. "When did you last eat?" 2 days ago. There's a baker on 5th Street who sometimes leaves day-old bread in the alley." His jaw tightens. "And before you were homeless?" "I took care of my grandmother. She had dementia. Couldn't work because someone needed to watch her. We got by on her pension, but it died with her." Estelle stares into the brandy, watching the firelight play through the liquid. "I tried to find work after, but no one wants to hire someone with a 3-year employment gap and no references. The shelters are full. The churches can only do so much. I'm tired of being cold, of being hungry, of being invisible." "You're not invisible to me." She looks up, startled by the intensity in his voice. Alexander is leaning forward now, his silver eyes locked on her face with that same disconcerting focus. "I don't understand what's happening," she admits. "Why you're being kind to me. Why Fenrir?" She glances at the massive beast, who's now watching her with what she swears is affection. "I told you. Fenrir has never reacted to anyone this way. In vampire culture, that means something." Alexander pauses, seeming to choose his words carefully. "My kind, we live a long time, Estelle. Centuries, millennia for some of us. And the longer we live, the more isolated we become. Humans fear us. Other vampires are potential rivals or pawns. Everyone wants something. Power, favor, protection, money. Genuine connection becomes..." He trails off, his gaze distant. "Rare. So you're lonely." The words slip out before she can stop them. "Like Fenrir. Like me." Yes. Such a simple word, but it lands between them with weight. "I am centuries old. I've ruled the Eastern Territories for 200 years. I have everything: wealth, power, influence that spans continents. And I am profoundly, achingly alone." Estelle's chest tightens. She spent 3 months thinking she was uniquely cursed in her isolation, but here sits the most powerful man, vampire, in the region, admitting to the same desperate loneliness. "I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm about to do something incredibly selfish." Alexander sets down his own glass, when did he pour one, and leans back studying her. "I'm going to make you an offer. You can refuse. You should probably refuse. But I'm hoping you won't." Her heart starts racing again. "What offer?" "Stay here, in the palace. As kitchen staff?" "No." His lips quirk. "Though if you want to cook, you're welcome to." "No, Estelle, I'm asking you to stay as my companion." The word hangs in the air, loaded with implications she's not sure she understands. I don't know what that means. It means I want you near me. I want to understand why Fenrir, who is, for all intents and purposes, an extension of my own soul, has bonded to you in minutes when it took him decades to fully bond to me. I want to know why a homeless girl shows more courage and compassion than nobles who've trained their entire lives in court politics. I want... He stops, jaw working like he's fighting some internal battle. I want to not be alone, and I think you might want the same thing. But I'm no one. I'm a homeless girl wearing a found dress with no shoes. You're someone who saw a monster and recognized pain instead of danger. You're someone who survived 3 months on the streets and didn't lose her kindness. You're someone who makes an ancient magical beast show his belly like a puppy. Alexander's voice drops lower. You're someone I can't stop thinking about, and I met you 20 minutes ago. The confession steals her breath. This can't be real. Things like this don't happen to girls like her. What would people say? Your nobles, your court. I don't care. He says it with such absolute certainty that she believes him. I've spent 2 centuries caring what people say, playing political games, maintaining alliances. I'm tired, Estelle. I'm so tired of the performance. And then you appear, you speak one word to my guardian, and for the first time in longer than I can remember, something feels right. She wants to believe him. God, she wants to so badly. But life has taught her to be cautious, to expect the trap, to understand that good things come with price tags. What would you expect from me? Honesty, companionship, your presence. He holds up a hand when she starts to speak. I'm not talking about, look, I'm ancient and powerful, but I'm not a monster. I'm not asking you to my bed, though I won't pretend I don't find you beautiful. But that's not what this is. I have an entire palace full of empty rooms. You'd have your own suite, your own space. All I'm asking is that you stay. Have dinner with me sometimes. Tell me about your day. Let me show you mine. Let us both be less alone. And if it doesn't work, if you realize I'm boring or ordinary, then you leave with enough money to start over properly. Apartment, references, whatever you need. His expression softens. I'm not trying to trap you, Estelle. I'm trying to offer you a choice. Stay cold and hungry and invisible, or take a risk on something strange and impossible. Estelle looks down at her bare feet, her borrowed dress, her empty hands that have known nothing but struggle for months. Then she looks at Fenrir, who's watching her with those knowing golden eyes. Then back to Alexander, this impossibly beautiful vampire king who's offering her something that sounds like a fairy tale. Okay, she whispers. I'll stay. The smile that transforms Alexander's face is like sunrise breaking through storm clouds. Yes? Yes, but I need to understand the rules, what I can and can't do, where I can go. I don't know how to be in a palace. I don't know how to talk to vampires or nobles then I'll teach you. He stands in one fluid motion and offers his hand again. First lesson. You're not a servant here, Estelle. You're my guest. My friend, I hope. That means the palace is yours to explore. The library, the gardens, the kitchens, wherever you want. Second lesson. Most of my staff is human. Vampires are the minority here. You're not in danger. Third lesson. If anyone, vampire, human, noble, servant, anyone, makes you uncomfortable or treats you poorly, you come directly to me. Understood? She takes his hand and lets him pull her to her feet. She's still barefoot, still wearing a found dress, but somehow she feels less like a vagrant and more like herself. Understood. Good. Now let's get you properly settled. He leads her to the door, Fenrir padding along beside them. Mira, he calls down the corridor. A woman appears almost instantly, human, maybe 40, with kind eyes and a practical bun. Your Majesty? This is Estelle Thorne. She'll be staying in the palace as my personal guest. Please prepare the rose suite for her, and send for the dressmakers and cobblers first thing tomorrow. Tonight, find her something comfortable to wear and bring dinner to her rooms, whatever she wants. Mira's eyes widen slightly, but she schools her expression quickly and curtsies. Of course, Your Majesty. Miss Thorne, if you'll come with me. Estelle looks back at Alexander, suddenly uncertain. He gives her a small, encouraging nod. Go. Rest. Eat. Tomorrow I'll show you around properly. We'll have breakfast together if you're comfortable with that. I'd like that, she admits. Good. Fenrir, go with her. The massive beast immediately moves to Estelle's side, pressing against her leg. She automatically reaches down to scratch behind his ears, and his tail does that thumping thing again. He'll guard your door tonight, Alexander explains. No one will bother you with him there. And honestly, I think he'd refuse to leave you anyway. Thank you, Estelle says, and means it more deeply than she's ever meant anything. For everything. For stopping Lady Cordelia, for listening, for... Don't thank me yet. You might hate palace life. But he's smiling, and it makes him look younger, less austere. Sleep well, Estelle Thorne. You too, Your Majesty. Alexander, when it's just us, call me Alexander. Alexander, she tests the name, and something in his expression sharpens with pleasure. Perfect. Good night. Mira leads her away, Fenrir a massive, warm presence at her side. The Rose Suite turns out to be larger than the entire cottage Estelle grew up in. The bedroom alone is twice the size of her, and her grandmother's combined rooms had been. The attached bathroom has a tub big enough to swim in. The closet, empty now, but Alexander's command about dressmakers echoes in her mind, is lined with cedar. I'll have dinner sent up shortly, Mira says, her tone warm despite the strangeness of the situation. Is there anything particular you'd like? Estelle's stomach growls audibly. Anything hot? Please! I'll make sure of it. And Miss Thorne, welcome to Nightbourne Palace. I've worked here 20 years, and I've never seen His Majesty look at anyone the way he looked at you. I think you're going to be good for him. Before Estelle can respond, Mira curtsies and disappears, leaving her alone with Fenrir in a suite that feels like something from a dream. She walks to the window and looks out at the palace grounds, at the city beyond, at the streets where she'd been freezing just hours ago. This morning, she was no one. Invisible. Alone. Tonight she's standing in a vampire king's palace, wearing his protection like armor, with his guardian beast curled at her feet and his invitation to breakfast waiting in the morning. It's impossible. It's terrifying. It's the first time in months, maybe years, that she feels something like hope. The next morning, Estelle wakes in a bed so soft she's convinced she's still dreaming. Sunlight, actual warm sunlight, streams through windows she forgot to curtain. For a confused moment she thinks she's back in the cottage with her grandmother, but then she sees the rose-pink wallpaper, the mahogany furniture, the door to the closet that was empty last night, but now, she climbs out of bed and gasps. The closet is full. Not just full, overflowing with dresses in every color, shoes lined up in neat rows, drawers that she discovers are filled with underthings, and sleeping gowns and stockings. A note in elegant script rests on the center shelf. A temporary selection until the dressmakers can fit you properly. Choose whatever makes you comfortable. A. Estelle runs her fingers over silk and velvet and cotton, overwhelmed by the sheer abundance. In the end, she chooses a simple day dress in soft blue. Still nicer than anything she's ever owned, but not so elaborate that she feels like she's playing dress-up. The shoes fit perfectly, which seems impossible, but she's starting to accept that impossible is the theme of her new life. Fenrir is still outside her door when she emerges, and his tail wags when he sees her. Good morning, she tells him, scratching his ears. Do you know where I'm supposed to go for breakfast? The beast stands and starts walking, looking back at her expectantly. Right. Magic wolf thing. Probably understands English perfectly. He leads her through corridors that look less intimidating in daylight, down a staircase lined with portraits of severe-looking vampires who she assumes are Alexander's ancestors, and finally to a sunlit room that's smaller and more intimate than she expected. Alexander is already there, standing by windows that look out over extensive gardens. He's dressed more casually than last night, dark trousers and a white shirt, no jacket, and his hair is slightly damp, like he's recently bathed. When he turns and sees her, something warm and genuine crosses his face. "You slept well?" "Better than I have in months, maybe years." Estelle moves into the room, taking in the small table set for two, the covered dishes emanating delicious smells. "This is overwhelming." "The breakfast or the situation?" "Both, all of it." She accepts the chair he pulls out for her, hyper-aware of his proximity as he settles her at the table before taking his own seat. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up in an alley somewhere, and this will all be a hypothermia dream. It's not. He uncovers dishes to reveal eggs, bacon, fresh bread, fruit, cheese, pastries. More food than she could eat in a week. "Please, help yourself to whatever you want." "I've already eaten, but I'll have coffee with you." "You don't eat food?" "I can. It doesn't sustain me, but I enjoy the taste sometimes. Mostly I take my nutrition from blood, but don't worry. We have donors who come willingly, or I drink bagged supply. I'm not going to bite anyone who doesn't ask me to." His lips quirk. "That includes you, before you wonder." Estelle fills her plate, trying not to look too eager even though her stomach is screaming. The first bite of egg nearly makes her weep. "People ask you to bite them?" "The exchange can be pleasurable for both parties, when done right. Some humans enjoy it." He sips his coffee, watching her eat with an expression she can't quite read. "But we're not discussing that today. Today I want to show you around properly, introduce you to the staff you'll interact with regularly, and answer whatever questions you have." "I have about 1,000 questions." "Good. Ask them." So she does. Between bites of the best food she's ever tasted, Estelle asks about the palace structure, about the vampire hierarchy, about what exactly Alexander does all day as king. He answers everything patiently, thoroughly, occasionally with touches of humor that make her laugh. She learns that he oversees not just the Eastern Territories, but has treaties with 6 other vampire kingdoms, that he spends hours each day in council meetings, adjudicating disputes, managing resources, maintaining the peace between vampire and human populations. That he's considered a progressive ruler because he actually cares about his human subjects, not just the vampire nobles. "Most vampire kings rule through fear," he explains, refilling her coffee. "Keep humans subjugated, treat them as food sources and servants." I've always thought that was short-sighted. Humans are innovative, creative, resilient. Why wouldn't I want them as true allies instead of just subjects? "Is that why Lady Cordelia was so shocked when you defended me?" Cordelia is old money and old thinking. Her family has been playing court politics for 3 generations, always calculating angles and advantages. The idea that I'd humiliate her publicly for a homeless human probably shattered her entire worldview. He smiles. It was immensely satisfying. Estelle finds herself smiling back. Will she cause trouble? She'll try, but her father needs me more than I need him, and he's smart enough to know it. She'll pout, maybe spread some gossip, but ultimately she'll fall in line, and if she doesn't... His expression hardens slightly. I meant what I said. Anyone who makes you uncomfortable answers to me. The protectiveness in his voice does something strange to Estelle's heart. She barely knows this man, this vampire, but he's already defending her more fiercely than anyone ever has. Why? The question escapes before she can stop it. Why do you care so much? I'm still just a homeless girl you met yesterday. Alexander sets down his cup with deliberate care. Because Fenrir chose you, and Fenrir is never wrong. Because you showed compassion to a creature everyone else fears. Because when I look at you, I don't see someone calculating how to use me. I just see Estelle. Someone genuine, and brave, and kind. He pauses. And because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since the moment you told my guardian he was alone. It was the most honest thing anyone has said in this palace in decades. Heat creeps up Estelle's neck. She's never been good with compliments. She's barely received any in her life. And these ones are coming from a man so beautiful, it hurts to look at him directly. I don't know how to do this, she admits quietly. How to be whatever you need me to be. I need you to be yourself, that's all. He stands, offering his hand. Come, let me show you my favorite place in the palace. She takes his hand without hesitation this time. His fingers are warm and strong around hers as he leads her through corridors she doesn't recognize, Fenrir padding behind them. They go deeper into the palace, then down, stone stairs that spiral into what she assumes is a basement or foundation. But when Alexander opens an iron door, it's not a dungeon that greets her. It's a library. Not just a library. The library. Shelves upon shelves rising 3 stories high, connected by wrought iron staircases and walkways. Thousands, no, tens of thousands, of books in every color and size imaginable. Skylights far above let natural light filter down, illuminating reading nooks with plush chairs and small tables. The smell of old paper and leather and knowledge fills the air. Estelle's breath catches. Oh, I've collected books for 300 years, Alexander says softly, watching her face. First editions, rare manuscripts, new releases. If it's written, I probably have it or can acquire it. This is where I come when the weight of the crown gets too heavy. When I need to remember that I'm more than just a ruler. It's beautiful. Estelle moves forward, running her fingers along spines, reading titles in languages she doesn't recognize alongside ones she does. I used to read to my grandmother. She loved mysteries. We'd get them from the library, the public one downtown, and I'd read to her every night. Even when her dementia got bad, and she didn't always remember the story from one day to the next, she still loved hearing my voice. What was her name? Eleanor. Eleanor Thorne. She was stubborn and fierce and so kind. She took me in when my parents died. I was 6, they had a car accident, and she raised me by herself, taught me to be strong, to be good. Estelle's voice cracks slightly. I miss her. Alexander's hand finds her shoulder, warm and grounding. She sounds remarkable. You sound like her. I hope so. They spend the morning in the library. Alexander shows her first editions of books she's only ever seen in cheap paperback. He reads her passages in languages she doesn't know and translates them, his accent shifting beautifully with each tongue. She discovers he has a section entirely dedicated to human poetry, another to vampire history, another to modern science. I'm trying to bridge worlds, he explains, pulling down a book on renewable energy. Vampires are stuck in old ways because we live so long. Change seems unnecessary when you've got centuries ahead of you, but the world is changing rapidly now, and if we don't adapt, we'll become obsolete. Worse, we'll become tyrants clinging to power we no longer deserve. So you read about solar panels and wind turbines. And medicine and agriculture and political theory and climate science. If I'm going to rule humans, I should understand the challenges they face, the ones I might be able to help with. He turns to her, a book still in his hands. You think that's strange. I think it's the most human thing I've ever heard a vampire say. Something vulnerable flashes across his face. My father used to say I was too soft, that caring about humans would make me weak. Where is he now? Dead. I killed him when he tried to massacre an entire human village for sport. Alexander says it flatly, without emotion, but Estelle sees the tension in his jaw. He thought I'd just let it happen. That ruling meant you could do whatever you wanted. I disagreed, loudly. Good, Estelle says firmly. He sounds terrible. Alexander laughs, a real laugh, surprised and genuine. He was. My mother was better, but she died when I was young. Plague, before I'd been turned. I watched her suffer and couldn't do anything. He sets the book aside. Sorry, this is grim breakfast conversation. It's honest. I like honest. She moves to a nearby chair and settles in, tucking her legs under her. Fenrir immediately sprawls across her feet. Tell me more. Tell me about being turned, about how you became king. I want to know. So he does. As morning shifts to afternoon, Alexander tells her his history. Born in 1723 to a minor noble family, human and happy, until his 18th year when he caught the attention of a vampire lord who saw potential in him. The turn was agony. 3 days of transformation that felt like being remade at the cellular level. Waking up stronger, faster, immortal, and irrevocably changed. He tells her about the decades of learning control, of understanding his new nature, about slowly rising in vampire society, using the sharp mind and strategic thinking he'd developed as a human to navigate their treacherous politics, about witnessing the worst of his kind, the cruelty, the casual violence, the treatment of humans as prey, and deciding he'd do better. I challenged my father for the Eastern Territories when I was 112, young, by vampire standards. Everyone thought I'd die, but I was faster, smarter, and more motivated. I won, took the throne, and immediately started changing policies. He's standing by the window now, hands in his pockets, silhouetted against the afternoon light. Half the noble families wanted me dead for the first 50 years. Some still do. But you survived. I survived. I built alliances with human leaders, created laws that protected both species, proved that cooperation was more profitable than subjugation. Slowly, the territories stabilized, prospered. Now I'm seen as, well, powerful enough that no one challenges me openly. He turns to face her, but I'm still just one person trying to hold back centuries of prejudice and tradition. It's exhausting. Estelle rises and moves to stand beside him, looking out at the gardens. Is that why you're alone? Because people see you as a tool or a threat, but never just as Alexander? Yes. The word is barely a whisper. Even my own advisors, my counsel, they respect me, maybe even fear me, but they don't know me. No one knows me. I've been king for 200 years, and I've never had a single conversation like the ones we've had in the last 24 hours. That's terrible. That's immortality. But he doesn't sound resigned. He sounds tired. Ancient, despite his young-looking face. You asked me yesterday why I made you that offer. This is why. You see me, Estelle. Not the king. Not the vampire. Not the power. Just me. And I haven't been just me in so long, I'd almost forgotten what it felt like. Estelle does something brave then. She reaches out and takes his hand, threading her fingers through his. Then be just you, with me. No crowns, no politics. Just Alexander and Estelle, two lonely people trying to figure out how to be less alone together. His fingers tighten around hers. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is. Maybe we're the ones making it complicated. You're wise for someone so young. How old are you, if I may ask? 24, 25 next month. So young, he murmurs, but there's no condescension in it, only wonder. You've lived a quarter century, and already understand things I'm still learning after 3. I've had a lot of time to think. When you're homeless, waiting in shelters or under bridges, you have nothing but time to examine your life. She turns to face him fully, still holding his hand. I learned that stuff. Money, status, security. Matters a lot more when you don't have it. But connection, kindness, being seen, that matters always. I could have all the money in the world, and if I was still alone, I'd still be poor. Estelle Thorne, Alexander says, raising their joined hands to brush his lips across her knuckles, in a gesture so old-fashioned and courtly, it steals her breath. You are remarkable. I'm really not. I'm just honest. Honesty is the rarest resource in the world. He releases her hand slowly, reluctantly. I should let you explore on your own for a while. I have a council meeting this afternoon that I can't miss, but tonight, would you join me for dinner? Not a formal thing, just us, maybe in the library, talking more? I'd like that. Good. Mira will check on you, make sure you have everything you need. And Fenrir will stay with you. He's clearly decided you're his person now. Alexander scratches the beast's ears. Traitor! 300 years together and you abandon me for the first pretty girl who's nice to you. Fenrir's tail wags, unrepentant. Estelle laughs. I don't think he's abandoning you. I think he's just expanding his pack. Is that what we are? A pack? Maybe, if that's okay. Alexander's smile could light the darkest night. It's more than okay. It's perfect. He hesitates, then adds, "Thank you, Estelle, for staying, for taking a chance on this strange situation. I know it's not normal." "Normal is overrated. I tried normal. It left me freezing in alleys." She grins. "I think I'll try impossible for a while. Then I'll see you tonight for our impossible dinner." He moves toward the door, then pauses. "Oh, and the dressmakers are coming by at 4. I hope that's all right. I want you to have clothes that are yours, chosen by you, not just things I picked out." "You picked out the whole closet full?" "I had Mira help, but yes. I wanted you to have options this morning. Was that too much?" The uncertainty in his voice, this powerful, ancient vampire king uncertain about whether he'd overstepped, makes Estelle's heart squeeze. "It was perfect. Thank you." He nods, looking relieved, and then he's gone, leaving her alone with Fenrir in a library that belongs in fairy tales. Estelle spends the afternoon exploring. Mira finds her eventually and gives her a proper tour. The kitchen's where the cook, a jovial woman named Beatrice, insists on making her tea and cookies. The gardens where winter flowers bloom in enchanted beds that never freeze. The music room with instruments from a dozen cultures. The portrait gallery where Alexander's face appears in paintings spanning 2 centuries. Always the same, always beautiful, always somehow lonely even when surrounded by court. The dressmakers arrive promptly at 4, 3 women with sharp eyes and skilled hands who measure her and show her fabrics and styles. Estelle, who's never had a new dress in her life, is overwhelmed by the choices until one of them, the eldest, with silver in her hair, says kindly, "What makes you feel like yourself, dear?" Estelle thinks about it. Comfortable, pretty, but not fussy. "I want to be able to move, maybe run if I need to. Colors that remind me of good things." They understand immediately. Within an hour, they've sketched out a dozen dresses that are elegant but practical, beautiful but livable. Blues like the sky, greens like summer grass, a few in deep burgundy that one of them says will make her complexion glow. "His Majesty has excellent taste," the eldest murmurs as they pack up. "We've dressed many ladies for him over the years, nobles hoping to catch his eye. Never has he seemed remotely interested. But you," she smiles. "He looked at you like you hung the moon. Keep being yourself, dear. That's clearly what he needs." After they leave, Estelle stands in her suite. Her suite, in a palace. How is this her life? And tries to process everything. 24 hours ago, she was no one. Now she's the vampire king's companion, living in luxury she couldn't have imagined, with his guardian beast sleeping outside her door and his attention focused on her like sunlight through a magnifying glass. It should be terrifying. It is terrifying. But it's also... She moves to the window and looks out at the gardens as sunset paints the sky in shades of orange and pink. For the first time in 3 months, maybe in 3 years, she feels like she has a purpose beyond mere survival. Alexander needs her. This strange, powerful, lonely man needs her specifically, for exactly who she is. Not what she can do for him, or how she can serve him, but just her. Her honesty, her presence, her companionship. And she needs him too. Needs this place where she's warm and fed and safe. Needs his intensity and intelligence and the way he looks at her like she's precious. Needs the possibility that her life might become something more than just endurance. A knock at the door interrupts her thoughts. "Miss Thorne?" Mira's voice calls. "His Majesty sent me to escort you to dinner, if you're ready." Estelle takes a deep breath, smooths down her blue dress, and opens the door. Fenrir is already on his feet, tail wagging. "I'm ready." Mira leads her not to a dining room but back to the library. It's been transformed, candles everywhere, casting warm light over the stacks. A small table has been set up in one of the reading nooks, intimate and cozy, set for 2. And Alexander is there, standing by the table in dark trousers and a charcoal shirt that makes his silver eyes almost luminescent. "You came," he says, and there's relief in his voice like he was genuinely worried she might not. "Of course I came. You invited me to dinner in a magical library. Why wouldn't I come?" His laugh is soft, warm. Fair point. Please sit. I had Beatrice prepare something special. The meal is perfect. Roasted chicken with herbs, vegetables that taste like they were picked an hour ago, bread still warm from the oven, and a chocolate torte for dessert that makes Estelle moan with pleasure. Alexander watches her eat with obvious delight, occasionally stealing bites himself and sipping wine that he explains is from his own vineyards. They talk about everything and nothing. Books they've loved and hated, the politics of vampire society versus human governments, her grandmother's favorite recipes, his failed attempt to learn piano in 1843, her dream of maybe going back to school someday, though she dropped out at 16 to care for Eleanor full-time. You could do that now, Alexander says, refilling her wine. Hire tutors, attend university if you want. Whatever you desire, Estelle. You're not a prisoner here. You're free to pursue your own interests. What if my interest is just this? Learning about your world, understanding you, maybe helping somehow? I don't know what I'm good at yet. I never had the chance to find out. Then you'll find out here. Take your time. Experiment. The palace has resources. Studios if you want to try art. The music room, the library, obviously. I can introduce you to scholars and artists and thinkers. Or you can do nothing at all except exist and be yourself. That's valuable, too. How are you real? The question bursts out of her. How are you this perfect? Vampire kings are supposed to be terrifying and cruel, and I can be terrifying. I have been cruel when necessary. I've made decisions that haunt me, done things I'm not proud of. His expression turns serious. I'm not perfect, Estelle. I'm old and tired, and sometimes I get so angry at the world that I want to burn it down and start over. I have a temper that I keep tightly controlled because when I lose it, people die. I'm possessive of what's mine to the point of obsession. I can be cold and calculating and ruthless when I need to be. But you're not being any of those things with me. No, with you, I'm just... He trails off, searching for words. I don't have to be King Alexander. I can just be Alexander. Do you know how rare that is? How precious? I think I'm starting to understand. She reaches across the table and takes his hand, marveling at how natural the gesture has become. I don't have to be Estelle the homeless girl or Estelle the charity case. I'm just Estelle. We give each other permission to be ourselves. Exactly. His thumb traces circles on her palm, sending pleasant shivers up her arm. You understand so quickly. It took me 200 years to articulate what you just said in one sentence. They talk until the candles burn low, until Estelle is yawning despite her best efforts to stay alert. Alexander notices immediately. You're exhausted. I'm keeping you up. I don't mind. This is the best day I've had in... maybe ever. His expression softens into something unbearably tender. Come, I'll walk you to your suite. They walk through quiet corridors, Fenrir between them, comfortable in the silence. When they reach her door, Estelle turns to face him. Thank you, for dinner, for everything, for seeing me. Thank you for letting me, for staying. He hesitates, then reaches up to tuck a strand of her dark hair behind her ear in a gesture so gentle it makes her breath catch. Sleep well, Estelle Thorne. Dream good dreams. You too, Alexander Nightborn. She slips into her suite, and through the door she hears him say softly to Fenrir, Guard her well. She's precious. Estelle leans against the closed door, her heart racing. This is happening. This impossible fairy tale thing is actually happening. A vampire king is falling for her, or maybe already has fallen, and she's falling right back. The next 3 weeks pass in a blur of wonder. Estelle settles into palace life with surprising ease. She breakfasts with Alexander every morning, hearing about his schedule and telling him about her plans. Sometimes she explores the palace, discovering new rooms and passages and secrets. Sometimes she reads in the library, working her way through books she's always wanted to read. Sometimes she visits the kitchens and learns recipes from Beatrice, or the gardens where the groundskeeper teaches her about the enchantments that keep everything blooming. Alexander is busy during the days, council meetings, audiences with nobles, adjudicating disputes, managing the complex machinery of his territories. But he makes time for her. Always. Lunch together at least 3 times a week. Dinner every evening, sometimes in the library, sometimes in his private dining room, once in the gardens under fairy lights with soft music playing. They talk about everything. He tells her about vampire politics, the delicate balance of power, the nobles who still resist his progressive policies. She tells him about life on the streets, the kindness of strangers, the cruelty of systems designed to keep people down. They argue about philosophy and laugh at stupid jokes and share comfortable silences. And slowly, so slowly she barely notices until it's already happened, Estelle falls in love with him. It's in the small things. The way he always remembers how she takes her tea, the first edition of her grandmother's favorite mystery series that appears in her suite one morning with a note. Thought you might enjoy reading these again. The way he listens when she talks, giving her his complete attention like nothing else in the world matters. The protective hand he puts on her lower back when they walk together. The way he looks at her when he thinks she's not paying attention, like she's something miraculous and fragile and infinitely valuable. She's in love with him, and it's terrifying, and she has no idea if he feels the same way beyond companionship and loneliness solved. Until the winter ball. It's an annual tradition, Alexander explains over breakfast one morning in the 4th week. All the noble families attend, plus representatives from the human government, important merchants, artists, anyone with influence or power. It's political theater mostly, but it's expected. And this year... He pauses, seeming nervous, which is strange for him. I'd like you to attend, with me, publicly. Estelle's heart starts racing. Publicly? As what? Your companion? As the woman I care about. He says it simply, directly, those silver eyes locked on hers. I know we've only known each other a month. I know this is fast, probably too fast. But I need you to understand something, Estelle. In 300 years, I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. You've become essential to me, and I want the world to know it. I want everyone to see that you're under my protection, that you're important to me, that you're... He stops, jaw working. That I'm what? Mine? The word comes out almost possessive, and he winces. I'm sorry. I told you I can be possessive. But you're not property. You're your own person. I just mean that I want people to know we're... What are we, Estelle? I don't know. Her voice comes out barely a whisper. What do you want us to be? Alexander stands and moves around the table, kneeling in front of her chair so they're at eye level. He takes both her hands in his. I want to court you properly. I want to introduce you to my world as someone I'm pursuing, someone I care deeply about. I want... He takes a breath. I'm falling in love with you. I might already be there, and I know it's fast and probably insane, but I've lived long enough to recognize something real when I find it. You're real, Estelle. What I feel for you is real, and I don't want to hide it anymore. Estelle's eyes fill with tears. I'm falling in love with you, too. I was terrified you just wanted companionship, that I was reading too much into... He cuts her off with a kiss. It's gentle at first, tentative, his lips soft against hers. But when she responds, threading her fingers through his dark hair and pulling him closer, the kiss deepens. He tastes like coffee, and something uniquely him, and his hands come up to cup her face like she's the most delicate thing in the world. It's perfect. It's everything. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Alexander rests his forehead against hers. Say you'll come to the ball. Say you'll let me show everyone that you're the woman who captured the heart of a vampire king. Please. Yes, of course yes. She's crying and laughing at the same time. But I don't know how to dance or navigate noble politics or... I'll teach you. We have 2 weeks. I'll teach you everything you need to know. He kisses her again, quick and sweet. And even if you stumble through every dance and insult every noble accidentally, I don't care. I just want you there, by my side, where you belong. The next 2 weeks are intensive, Alexander teaches her formal dances in the ballroom, the waltz, the foxtrot, traditional vampire court dances that are centuries old. She steps on his feet approximately 800 times, but he never gets frustrated. He just laughs and shows her again, patient and encouraging. Mira teaches her the basics of court etiquette, who's important and who just thinks they are, which families are allies, and which ones would stab Alexander in the back if given the chance. It's dizzying, but Estelle soaks it up like a sponge. The dressmakers return with a gown specifically for the ball. When Estelle sees it, she actually gasps. It's deep burgundy, the color of wine, with a fitted bodice and a flowing skirt that moves like water. The neckline is elegant, but not revealing. The sleeves off-shoulder in a way that makes her feel sophisticated. When she tries it on, the dressmakers tear up. "You look like a queen," one of them whispers. "I'm not yet," the eldest says firmly. "You're not a queen yet. But mark my words, dear. His Majesty looks at you like you already are." The night of the winter ball, Estelle is so nervous she can barely breathe. Mira helps her dress, does her hair in an elegant updo with a few curls framing her face, applies makeup that enhances her natural features without hiding them. When Estelle looks in the mirror, she barely recognizes herself. She looks beautiful. More than beautiful. She looks like she belongs. A knock at the door makes her jump. Mira answers it, then smiles. "His Majesty is here for you, miss." Alexander steps into the room and stops dead. He's in formal dress, black suit with silver threading, his hair styled back, a crown of dark metal resting on his head. He looks every inch the Vampire King, powerful and elegant and untouchable, except for the way he's looking at her, like she's the only thing in the universe. "Estelle," he breathes, "you're stunning." "You're not so bad yourself." She tries for levity, but her voice shakes slightly. "I'm terrified." "Don't be. You'll be with me the entire time. And if anyone says or does anything to make you uncomfortable, just say the word, and we leave. The ball doesn't matter. You matter." He offers his arm. "Ready?" She takes his arm, feeling the solid strength of him, and nods. "Ready." The ballroom is transformed. Thousands of candles float near the ceiling. Actual floating candles. Magic she's still getting used to. Ice sculptures that never melt. Tables laden with food and drink. And people, so many people, dressed in finery that probably costs more than she made in her entire previous life. The room goes quiet when they enter. Every eye turns to them. To Alexander in his crown and formal dress, and to Estelle on his arm. "His Majesty, King Alexander Nightborn," a herald announces, "and Miss Estelle Thorne." The whispers start immediately. Estelle can feel the weight of hundreds of gazes, the speculation and curiosity, and, yes, some hostility. She recognizes Lady Cordelia in the crowd, her face tight with fury. But Alexander just smiles, his hand covering hers on his arm. "Ignore them. Focus on me." He leads her to the center of the floor as music begins, a waltz, the first one he taught her. "Dance with me?" She nods, and he pulls her into hold. They move together, and it's like all those practices in the empty ballroom. She follows his lead, their bodies in sync, and the world narrows to just the two of them. "You're doing beautifully," he murmurs. "Everyone's watching, and you're perfect. They're judging me. Let them. I chose you, Estelle. Not any of them. Not any noble's daughter or ancient vampire lady. You. The woman who saw my beast and offered compassion. The woman who's honest and brave and kind. That's who I want by my side." As the dance ends, he doesn't release her. Instead, he turns to address the room, his voice carrying easily. "For those who don't know, Miss Thorne is my personal guest and companion. She lives here in the palace under my protection. I trust you'll all treat her with the respect she deserves. It's a command dressed as a request. Everyone in the room understands." Then Alexander does something that makes the crowd gasp. He raises Estelle's hand to his lips and kisses it, but not a quick brush like before. A slow, deliberate press of his lips to her knuckles while maintaining eye contact with her. a gesture of clear romantic intent that no one could misinterpret. "Mine," he says softly, but in the quiet room, people hear. "She's mine." Estelle's face flushes, but she doesn't look away. "Yours," she agrees, just as softly. The rest of the ball passes in a blur. Nobles approach to introduce themselves, their curiosity barely concealed. Some are genuine in their welcome. Others are clearly calculating how to use her connection to Alexander. She fields questions about her background with the simplified story they agreed on. She was homeless. The king took an interest. Now she lives at the palace. Simple. True enough. Lady Cordelia tries to approach once, but Alexander's hand tightens on Estelle's waist, and Fenrir, yes, Fenrir is at the ball, lying near the dais, lifts his head and growls. Cordelia pales and retreats. During a break in the dancing, an older human man approaches, someone Mira identified as the mayor of the largest human city in the territories. "Your Majesty," he says, bowing. "Miss Thorne. Might I say, it's refreshing to see you with someone who understands the common people's struggles. Perhaps having someone with Miss Thorne's perspective could help bridge some gaps between your policies and their implementation. It's a clever political move, trying to use Estelle's background as leverage, but it's also not wrong." "That's an interesting thought," Estelle says before Alexander can respond, "though I'm still learning about everything. But if there are ways I can help people like I used to be, I'd want to explore that." The mayor's eyebrows rise. "You'd be interested in advocacy work?" "Maybe. I don't know yet. But I remember being cold and hungry and scared. If I can make that less common, why wouldn't I want to try?" Alexander's arm tightens around her waist, and when she glances up, the look in his eyes is pure adoration. "We'll discuss possibilities," he tells the mayor. "Thank you for the suggestion." As the mayor moves away, Alexander leans down to whisper in her ear, "You're a natural at this. The nobles are terrified of you. The humans are charmed by you, and I'm more in love with you than I was 5 minutes ago." "How is that possible when 5 minutes ago you publicly claimed me in front of everyone you know?" "Because you just showed everyone exactly why I chose you. You have a good heart, Estelle. You want to help. That's rarer than you think in these circles." He brushes a kiss to her temple, another public display of affection that will fuel gossip for weeks. "Ready to escape? We've been here 3 hours. I think we've fulfilled our obligations." "Yes, please. My feet hurt and I want to kiss you properly." His eyes flash silver. "Then let's go." They make their exit, Fenrir following, leaving behind a ballroom full of people who will talk about nothing but the Vampire King and his mysterious human companion for months. But Estelle doesn't care about them. She only cares about Alexander's hand in hers as he leads her back through the palace, not to her suite or his, but to the library. Their library. Their place. He closes the door behind them and pulls her close, kissing her like he's been holding back all night. And he has been. She can feel the restraint breaking now, the way his hands roam her back, the way he kisses her like she's oxygen and he's been drowning. "I love you," he says between kisses. "I'm in love with you, completely. Irrevocably. I want to court you properly, but I also want everyone to know that you're mine and I'm yours. I want..." He stops, breathing hard. "What do you want, Estelle? Tell me. Anything." She takes his face in her hands, looking into those silver eyes that have haunted her dreams for weeks. "I want you. I want this. Us. I want to stay here and learn how to be with you, how to maybe help people, how to build a life I never thought I could have. I want to wake up and not be alone. I want to fall asleep knowing someone cares if I'm warm and safe. I want..." Her voice breaks. "I want to be loved by you. That's all. That's everything." "You are." He kisses her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. "You are so loved. I've never felt anything close to this. You've transformed my entire existence in a month. How is that possible?" "Maybe because we were both ready. Both lonely enough to take the risk when it appeared." She kisses him back, softer now. "I was freezing in an alley a month ago. Now I'm being kissed by a vampire king in a magical library. Life is strange. Life is perfect, he corrects. Right now, in this moment, with you in my arms, everything is perfect. They spend hours in the library, talking and kissing and making plans. Alexander tells her about wanting to reform the council, about ideas for helping the homeless population that she can provide insight on. She tells him about wanting to maybe go back to school, about learning to paint because she's always been curious. They talk about the future like it's a certainty they'll face together. When Estelle finally returns to her suite well after midnight, she's glowing. Mira takes one look at her and smiles. Good night? The best night. Estelle spins, her burgundy dress flaring. He loves me, Mira. He actually loves me. Of course he does. Anyone with eyes could see that. Mira helps her out of the gown, into a nightdress. You're good for him, miss. He's lighter now, happier. The whole palace has noticed. I didn't think I could be good for anyone. I was just trying to survive. And now you're thriving. That's the difference between existing and living. Mira finishes brushing out Estelle's hair. Sleep well. Something tells me your life is about to get very interesting. She's right. Over the following weeks, Estelle's role in the palace evolves. She starts attending Alexander's council meetings, not as a participant, but as an observer. Her perspective on how policies affect common people proves invaluable. She starts working with the mayor on initiatives to help the homeless, shelters with better resources, job training programs, medical care. Alexander funds everything she suggests without hesitation. She also becomes a fixture by his side at public events. The vampire king and his human companion. People are fascinated by them, by the obvious love between them. Artists paint them together. Poets write verses about the lonely king who found his heart in a homeless girl. But the best moments are still the private ones. Breakfasts where they talk about their days, evenings in the library reading to each other, walks in the garden with Fenrir bounding ahead, stolen kisses in corridors. The way Alexander holds her at night when she has nightmares about being back on the streets, whispering that she's safe, she's home, she's loved. 3 months after that first night, Alexander takes her back to the ballroom. It's empty now, just the two of them and Fenrir and moonlight streaming through the windows. Dance with me? He asks. She takes his hand and they waltz. No music except what's in their heads, spinning slowly across the floor. When they stop in the center, Alexander kneels. Estelle Thorne, you are the most extraordinary woman I've ever met. You've given me purpose and joy and love beyond anything I imagined possible. I know we've only known each other 3 months. I know this is fast, but I've lived 300 years, and I'm certain. He pulls out a small box, opens it to reveal a ring, silver band with a deep red stone that matches her ball gown. Marry me. Be my queen. Not because I need someone by my side for politics or appearances, but because I can't imagine my existence without you in it. Please. Estelle is crying, happy tears streaming down her face. Yes, God, yes, I love you. He slides the ring onto her finger and stands, pulling her into a kiss that feels like a promise, like a beginning, like everything she never dared to hope for. My queen, he whispers against her lips. My king, she whispers back. Fenrir howls, long and joyful, the sound echoing through the empty ballroom, and Estelle Thorne, who was homeless and invisible and alone, who whispered one word to a beast and changed her entire fate, knows that she's finally, truly, home. Not because of the palace or the crown or the wealth, but because of the man holding her, the one who saw her when she was nothing, the one who loved her when she had nothing to offer but herself, the one who proved that sometimes fairy tales do come true. You just have to be brave enough to reach for them when they appear. Later that night, lying in Alexander's arms in his chambers, she's been sleeping there for weeks now, neither of them wanting to be apart. Estelle traces patterns on his chest. Do you think Eleanor would be proud of me? Your grandmother? He catches her hand and kisses her palm. Absolutely. You survived. You kept your goodness intact. And you found love. What grandmother wouldn't be proud? I wish she could have met you. I wish I could have met her. Anyone who raised someone like you must have been remarkable. He pulls her closer. We could visit her grave tomorrow if you'd like. Tell her about the engagement. I'm sure she's watching somehow. The thoughtfulness makes Estelle's eyes sting with fresh tears. I'd like that. Then we will. He kisses her forehead. Sleep now, my love. My queen. Tomorrow we'll announce our engagement and the entire kingdom will celebrate. But tonight it's just us. Just us, Estelle agrees, settling against his chest. Perfect. As she drifts off to sleep, she thinks about the path that led her here, the pain of losing her grandmother, the cold months on the streets, the desperate decision to sneak into the palace, the beast that should have killed her but didn't, the vampire king who should have been terrifying but became her everything. Every hardship, every moment of suffering led her to exactly where she was always meant to be, to him, to this love that transformed them both, to a future that looks nothing like what she imagined, but everything like what she needed. She's no longer invisible, no longer alone, no longer just surviving. She's loved. She's chosen. She's home. And that, Estelle thinks as sleep finally claims her, is the greatest magic of all.